Today's the day. We are here talking about our series on 6 personal perspectives. My name's Brett Caldwell. I'm here with my friend Natasha Tello. Natasha, how are you?
I am fantastic. We are talking about one of my favorite subjects, and that's be accountable.
Yeah, that's why I started it with today's the day, right?
That's
Well,
it.
it's almost impossible to talk about being accountable without talking about being a victim, right? It's the opposite of being accountable. But the word accountability, the word accountable, how do you think about that word?
So the way I look at it as a positive thing because I look at it as it's the help and the reinforcement to myself to always just kind of be responsible. But a lot of people look at that word and it's a negative, punitive connotation that goes with it.
Sure. And hopefully today in our conversation you'll reframe how you think about this word, but let's start with something happens. And if there was a formula to being accountable, at the very, very top of it all is something happens, and you don't get to choose that something happens to you. In a real estate transaction, somebody could lose a job. I could drive down the street and I could be the best driver in town, but I don't get to choose how the people around me drive their car, and I could end up in an accident. There's many things in life that just happen to us. Yet, just after something happens, we do have options. And Natasha, what do those options look like?
Yeah, well, I look at it like we have two options. We can have a response or we can have a reaction. So the way the two things are different is a reaction is immediate gut instinct. It can often be very emotional, right? We're coming
Yeah.
from this deep emotional state. So the difference is, just imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Well, most people, we're going to go with a gut reaction. That gut reaction will always be probably the most graceful reaction versus a response. Response gives us time to process, gives us time to think through what that otherwise reaction could be. And so when I think about accountability, and I think the difference between, so we have the choice right there to have a response and a reaction, which then either puts us on the positive direction or puts us on the victim blame direction.
There's really two paths we're talking about here. One is choosing the path of being a victim or choosing the path of being accountable. Let's talk about that path of being a victim first. If I choose to be a victim, the reality is, as I start blaming other people, I take no responsibility. It's not my fault. I jokingly say it's kind of the mindset of a teenager, right? Like the teenager can do no wrong. It's never their fault. The problem with this path is it stalls. Life stalls. There's no resolution. Nobody allows life to move forward when you take the path of a victim. And there's professional victims in life that their life just never moves forward because they've constantly take this victim path. Yet there's a whole nother path. Why don't you tell me about that path?
Yeah, so the other path would be, being accountable. So whatever it takes. So if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I think that when we're talking about accountability, that's really what it is do we have ownership? Do we have a whatever it takes attitude about it? And that doesn't matter right or wrong. Like we make a mistake. It's not saying that we're never going to make a mistake. It's when we do make the mistakes, because clearly we have the human skin, we are going to make mistakes. Do we take ownership? Do we accept responsibility? Are we accountable? Do we learn to grow?
Yeah. What's my DNA and the problem? I need to own that, right? I need to say I'm sorry, as my mother would teach me when I was a young child. Like I have to take responsibility. And the beauty of taking that path, Natasha, we move forward in life. It allows us to move past whatever happened into what's next. where the victim keeps us in the muckety muck of what happened. Being accountable allows us to move forward. And that's how you really unlock a big life.
Well, that's how we unlock our potential. Once we recognize and we accept it, we're accountable for it. It allows us to grow and move forward.
I love it. Our friend Craig Zuber, let's hear what he has to say on being accountable.
Hi there, Craig Zuber, Executive Business Coach with MAPS Coaching. And accountability is one thing that truly is magical. Right? It's taking personal responsibility. That's really what accountability is all about. It's about holding people capable and able of what they took personal responsibility for. Because it's really tough to hold somebody accountable for something that they never agreed to or they never took ownership of. It's actually almost impossible. Accountability, it's about holding ourselves and others to the promises that we made and ensuring that we take action on what we've agreed to, right? Accountability means personal ownership. Ownership over our thoughts, our behaviors, our results, even when things go wrong. And when we take responsibility and make a conscious choice, that's when we create a solid foundation of growth and success, right? Ownership is authorship. And people who win at life and business know that accountability is essential for achieving the very best results. In fact, more than potentially any other personal characteristic, accountability ensures that you do give your very best effort. So when we change our thinking around accountability, we change our world. Right? Accountability isn't punitive. It's about taking ownership of our life, and it's about being the very best version of ourselves.
All right, Natasha, we all heard it. What'd you hear?
Ownership is authorship. I love that. And I love the way Craig shared, taking ownership of our life, right? Are we letting someone else drive our vehicle for our life? Or are we taking ownership of our life?
Yeah. I guess one of the questions, and we're going to discuss three things in the room, but the first question is, what in your life do you need to be accountable to right now? Are you even aware if you're being a victim? Or is there something in your life that you just need to own so life can move forward to the next step? So question one is exactly that. What in your life do you need to be accountable to right now?
Love that. The second one would be, who is working with you on personal accountability?
Yeah.
It's the who.
The who. And the third one is, how is accountability an activator to your big life?
It's huge.
See, accountability, nobody can really hold you accountable. You have to choose to be accountable. Thank you for being here today. Be accountable.
Have a great one.